U.S. President Joe Biden says the assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump is contrary to everything America stands for as a nation. The incumbent made these remarks after meeting with his national security team at the White House. Professor John Stremlau joins us now to further discuss this. Prof, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us. So, first of all, what do you read into these developments around the shooting of Trump? Do you think the shooting was as a result of a political ploy?
I don't know what the facts are, and I think that Biden was right in telling us all to wait for the FBI and the Justice Department to render its reporting on what exactly happened and when. But I do think that this does change the dynamics of the election to the extent that now you're seeing Donald Trump insisting to the Secret Service that he just wait for a moment for a photo op, and then he heisted his fist and said, "Fight, fight, fight." Now he's sounding a bit more moderate today. And his willingness to concede that the calls from Biden were appreciated and that we are all one nation and all of this, he is a bit of a more moderate in some ways than he's given credit for, because he has been such a racist and inconsistent and kind of not very ambitious, and yet he's at the same time pontificating without any grounding in facts. So, he got off easy on the debate with Biden, who's getting on in years, and we don't know what impact this will have, but I'm sure that the convention in Milwaukee, where he's due to arrive in about 6 hours, will be a love-in.
Prof, what do you say to those that are speculating that this was actually staged just to make, of course, Trump look good and gain some public sympathy as they head to the November 5th poll?
I wouldn't deign to read the social media commentaries about the conspiracies, either on the left or the right. And I'm very much a believer that we ought to get the facts, and there will be hearings about this, because how was it that a shooter could get onto the roof of only 150 yards or so from the podium and with an AR-15 assault weapon and rifle and fire off all these shots, which critically wounded two people and killed a father who was sheltering his wife and children. So that this is a dark day for America, but it's a bright day for Donald Trump, who miraculously survived, and I'm glad he did. But it does make a question as to where do we go from here.
Absolutely. And another question, Professor, that was raised by this incident, of course, was, just on that back point that you just made, the competence of the Secret Service that we understand. Go into these areas and actually sweep through for all these security threats and risks ahead of such rallies in any of the places that they take place. So what do you say to this comment?
Well, I say that the ex-security officials who have been on the media, on the U.S. media in the last day or so, have been very, very critical. But there will be hearings, there will be reports, and I think Biden was correct in saying, after he had his briefing from the FBI and the Justice Department and others, stakeholders, the Secret Service, that we should await the facts. And we just haven't got them.
Absolutely. And another issue, Prof, that has arisen from this incident is, of course, the gun control laws pertaining to America. And a lot of people just feel that, everybody does have easy access to obtaining a gun in that state. And this should maybe be relooked, particularly as they go into the new administration after the polls.
Well, that's a very interesting question, because if the Democrats could listen the Congress, and it looks increasingly unlikely that they'll be able to do so with the impetus behind Donald Trump. But don't forget, the election is still six months away, and how many people 6 months in advance forecast the government of national unity here in South Africa, and the rise and into third place of the MK party. So we should be a little humble in forecasting, but they clearly there's going to have to be a tightening of the security.
And in closing, Prof, I know you made a little mention to it around the fact that how will this then actually impact the November 5th election pertaining to the two contestants, namely Biden versus Trump, if any?
Well, the first step will be to see how Trump does in the Republican convention this week. And lead the limelight in the Democratic Party to a next generation of younger leaders, and if so, he doesn't indicate that yet. But the next week or so will be rather important for determining that situation, and then if it is Biden and Trump again, can Trump win when he still continues to lie and be inconsistent and sweeping in his commentary, and would be very bad for Africa, very bad for America, very bad for the world that as we've become accustomed to, with its economic trade and interdependence rising. He's a protectionist, and he's an isolationist, and he's an American firster, but he's also risen on a race card against Obama, and continues to play to the white Christian male audiences and core of the MAGA group that feels they're losing status in America, because America is becoming more like South Africa as a country that belongs to all who live here, united in its diversity. So we'll have to see what is unfolding, because the election is still not until November 5th. But the next couple of weeks will be very interesting.
Very interesting indeed, Prof. Thank you so much for your contribution. And that issue of racial lines pertaining to Americans was actually raised by the two presidents during the recent debate. Professor John Stremlau, the international relations analyst.